In the past few weeks, we've been going over some of the parables in our middle school class on Sunday night. And this is the, what we say with Paul Harvey, the rest of the story they weren't able to get to last week. As I go through, I try to find something quick and to the point to make it less than 5 minutes and also to be meaningful. And tonight we'll be looking at Matthew chapter 18, 21 through 35. I'm going to summarize most of this, but I want you to focus on 34 and 35 when we get towards the end of this. As we usually do in devotional time right there, that we'll present a lesson and then afterwards we'll offer an invitation. But tonight I'm going to try to give you something that you may not be able or think that you can do, is change the past. If you've ever watched Marvel's Avengers Endgame, there is a great discussion on how time travel works. And they talk about Back to the Future and a variety of other time machines and other what we think of movies about time. And in that, when they talk about time right there, they said, well, no, that's not how it is, no, that's not how it is. But this right here can change the past, what I'm going to share with you tonight. I'm going to talk to you about the unforgiving servant. Dan Winkler did a great job going over this. I want to hit some of the high points of some of his little tidbits of knowledge. Used to, my uncle would have these and probably put these in like little bitty books and have these for what we call our bulletin points. But the gift of gifts. Take away the first three letters and the last three letters of the word forgiveness. What is left? Given. Forgiveness is a gift that is given. It is a gift that will release the airing of guilt, revive the wounded of resentment, and it will relay the heart of Jesus to a world of rancor and hate. A lot of times in the world, we are so divided and we are filled with hate and resentment, and it just kind of pulls people apart. But the simple act of forgiveness can do a lot for us. To a real simple point, the unforgiven servant is a story that teaches us to have a forgiving heart. In Colossians 3, 12 and 13 could be used to sum up the whole message. Therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, put on tender mercy. And then it says, forgiving one another. And that is in Colossians 3, 12 and 13. Forgiving one another. In the parable of the unforgiving servant, it is teaching us to forgive and do so from the heart. Many times that me and my sister, I can laugh. I'm sure that if anyone has any brothers or sisters that something happens and then something else happens and we both get in trouble and they say, give each other a hug. Or they say, shake your hands or do something along those lines that you really don't want to. And you have to, I say, I'm sorry, or they're sorry. And you can really tell whether they mean it or not. Because it's usually like, my sister didn't really mean it or Robby didn't really mean it. And you have this kind of going back and forth. But forgiveness from the heart. We see in this story from the very beginning right here that you have the pardon. You had a servant that had 10,000 talents that he owed. It is a lot of money. It was actually so much money that if you kind of calculate it, that it was about 3,000 talents of gold and 5,000 talents of silver for the temple of Solomon. And this is 10,000. This is a lot more than what for a very expensive temple. If you ever want to do a study on that, it's very impressive what the temple of Solomon was like. He was forgiven by his master. Then you have a plea of the same guy who was forgiven to, he asked someone that owed him just a denarii, a day's worth of wages, to give it back, and he did not forgive him. And when the master heard these things, he issued a punishment to the one that owed so much. And in the verse right here we're going to look at in just a second, he called him a wicked and delivered him to the torturers. We do not want to be like this person because we're going to find out what happens to us in this situation. So let's read Matthew 18, 34 and 35. I'll be reading from the New King James Version. This is at the very end of this parable. And his master was angry and delivered him to the torturers until he should pay all that he was due to him. So my heavenly Father also will do to you if each of you, from your heart, does not forgive his brother his trespasses. It's humbling sometimes that we can hold on to things so long, and after time they may mean so little to us in a long run. But in the short run, feelings can really brew up, and it can be a thing of unforgiveness can be a problem in some people's life. But I like history, and I like to end with this right here in conclusion. Edward Stanton called him a gorilla and a clown. But after Abraham Lincoln was elected president, he chose Stanton to be the Secretary of War. When asked how he could be so forgiving, Lincoln explained that he thought Stanton was the best man for the job. After that dreadful evening of April 14th, 1865, when Abraham Lincoln was assassinated, it was Stanton that stood by the lifeless body of the president and stated this: "Now he belongs to the ages." He valued over this time of going through a whole civil war of what he'd done to try to keep the country together, and understood that his statements of the past of calling him a gorilla or a clown was not what he should have done. And it's through some other articles, and this right here, you can see the forgiveness and understanding he had of what happened. And this was a political situation, which may resonate some today for us. But nothing we do will impact others more than our willingness to forgive and welcome them back into our hearts. It is, after all, a chance to change the past. So hopefully we will use this power to change the past in our lives. And hopefully by doing this right here, we will not get what the unforgiving servant got done to him. Hope these thoughts have been encouraging, and if anyone is subject to the Lord's invitation, please come while together we stand and sing.